She was wearing a tight brown turtleneck dress that was hugging her baby bump. When she sat down, you could tell she was nervous. And if you couldn't, you quickly picked up on it, because once she started talking, you noticed that she paused a lot. She would sigh heavily before she answered a question. One of those moments was when she explained to the court that a year into their relationship, that Diddy had approached her with this fantasy that he had. He called it voyeurism, where he wanted to see her have with another man, later referred to as freak-offs. She said her stomach dropped. She was 22 years old. She described herself as very naive and a people pleaser. She said the only reason that she agreed to it is because she knew it would make him happy, and she was afraid what would happen if she said no. That's also around the time, she says, that he started to get abusive. Most of her testimony today was spent on talking about these freak-offs, the different escorts that they would use, the different hotels that they would use. She said that she would find escorts off of Craigslist and this escort service called Cowboys for Angels. And to describe them, they weren't the most attractive men, right? They were very average looking. Some of them weren't even conventionally attractive. One thing they had in common is most of them were black, because Diddy preferred for her black men with a big D, she said. At one point, Cassie broke down in tears when the prosecutor asked her, why didn't you leave? If the freak-offs, as you explained, were so disgusting and humiliating, why not leave? And she started crying and said that she was very deeply in love, and this was the only alone time that she could get with Diddy. And it got to a point where this was kind of the only emotional connection that she was getting from this man that she was dating. So much more that I'll cover in another video, including his incessant phone calls, him tracking her down with his security, and her never being able to escape him.
The courtroom fell silent, not because of a judge's gavel, but because of 7 words scribbled in a private note. He owns me. Even when I sleep, I'm not free. This wasn't a movie. This wasn't a rumor. This was Cassie Ventura, under oath, finally unleashing the truth in what is now being called the darkest day in hip-hop history. Stay tuned, because what happened in that courtroom has the power to bring down an empire. And you're about to hear every chilling detail, straight from day 2 of the federal trial against Sean Diddy Combs. Cassie Ventura walked into the Southern District of New York court, visibly pregnant, visibly shaken, and determined. The moment she took the stand, the air shifted. With media cameras banned inside, the silence was deafening as every eye turned to the woman who once walked red carpets beside a music mogul, now recounting the kind of life no one imagined. One of the first bombshells. A note prosecutors recovered from her iCloud backup. He owns me. Even when I sleep, I'm not free. The jury froze. Even Diddy's own lawyers paused. And that was only the beginning.
Here at the Southern District of New York Courthouse in Lower Manhattan, today, Tuesday, May 13th, 2025. It's day 2 for real after the jury selection of the U.S. versus Sean Combs trial. Yesterday, we covered it in great detail. The jury selection in which the juror from the UN made it on, despite his claims to have that his office of counterterrorism doesn't work with U.S. law enforcement. It's not credible. But then there were the opening statements, hammering hard, hammering hard. Tenny Garagos did it for the defense, among their 9 lawyers. And she said this is about private personal conduct, and that he may be a terrible person, but it's not a federal RICO charge. The government hammered away, saying you're going to hear from Jane, Cassie,
Cassie
Nia.
described what she called freak-offs, disturbing private encounters she said she was forced into over the course of several years. These weren't rumors. These were testimonies, specific, emotional, and graphic enough that even the judge had to cut one segment short. She detailed situations where she said she was manipulated, isolated, and pressured to bring in other participants, often under the influence of substances that Diddy allegedly provided or encouraged. Cassie said these events sometimes lasted for days and left entire hotel rooms in such disarray that the hotels demanded full renovations afterward. She claimed she did it out of fear, that she was scared of what would happen if she said no. According to Cassie's sworn testimony, Diddy allegedly coerced her into illegal acts, filmed private encounters without her full consent, isolated her from friends, family, and industry allies, verbally and physically assaulted her during their relationship, threatened to ruin her career or her loved ones if she ever tried to leave. She said she was introduced to voyeurism by Diddy when she was just 22 years old. Cassie told the court, "I was young, naive, and wanted to make him happy. I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't."
And then the witnesses began. There was first the LAPD officer who went to the 6th floor among the famous kicking incident. And it turns out that he filmed his own version of the security camera footage and preserved it for, he was going to just show his wife, but he preserved it for eternity. Now, the cross-examination of him was done by Brian Steele, who tried to point out various inconsistencies of things that he hadn't put in his written report at the time, but only remembered later while speaking to the prosecutors. It wasn't a bad cross at all. Coming off his young thug work, score one for Brian Steele. Now, the next witness was I've called him male dancer, but his last name was Philip, not with an S. And this is where it got pretty gruesome. Not gruesome. I mean, yes, gruesome. He was invited up and began to perform. But he stopped being able to perform once he saw the violence, he said. He was a kind of a compelling character in a way. Now, the defense chose to have Xavier Donaldson, who I like and know quite well. I mean, I cover him more than these other lawyers because he's on the CJA panel and represents many criminal defendants here in SDNY as appointed counsel. He's taken a kind of his first line of attack was to try to say that the male escort or exotic dancing firm of Mr. Phillip gamed SEO, so he must be a fraudster. That's not really going far. He didn't finish his cross, and it's going to begin today. And we're coming up on the courthouse. You're going to see the madness in front. So we'll see what he does. And today is going to be the day of Cassie Ventura. So this is a longer than normal intro, but it's a case that we're covering in great detail.
It wasn't just Cassie's words. Prosecutors came ready. They played surveillance footage, the now infamous 2016 hotel video showing Diddy in a physical altercation with Cassie. It was entered as official evidence. The jury watched. Some recoiled. Then came screenshots of threatening text messages, flight logs matching the dates of her allegations, photos of injuries backed by hospital visit records. There were even references to encrypted hard drives containing disturbing video footage, reportedly hidden away by Diddy himself. When Diddy's attorney, Tenny Garagos, asked Cassie why she didn't just walk away, the courtroom held its breath.
You didn't sign an NDA, clearly, but did Diddy make his artists sign NDAs and people that work for him?
Well, a lot of these rappers, a lot of these industry people, anybody who does business nowadays with the internet, they have NDAs, non-disclosure. That means that if you work for them, you around them, you can't disclose any of the information about them. It's the same thing that he gave to all his artists when he gave them their publishing back. I'm gonna give y'all publishing, but y'all can't talk about Janice Combs, Justin Combs, Sony, Bad Boy, or anything that happened. Y'all can't talk about none of that. But there's some artists that didn't say anything, that didn't sign it, and they able to talk about anything they want to. And I think that's those girls that was, I think Danny Combs. I think a couple of them didn't sign it. And boy, oh boy, they probably gonna go after him too. Cause I heard him, and I'm giving you this, Aubrey. He stood up there and he said, in front of a lot of people, we were in the studio, and I said something to him and walked out the studio. He said, yo, I'm gonna drug their ass off and pick them up and pip them out to my nigga. He said, I'm gonna drug them out. I'm gonna get them all on drugs, and I'm gonna pimp their ass out to my nigga. And I was like, there's somebody kids, and walked out. And it's somebody that heard me. It's somebody that heard me. I mean, well, it's not only somebody that heard me, it's somebody that I know who was in the studio at the time that happened, and I still talk to him today. And we were just talking about that the other day. He done moved back to Indiana. I don't know why. I'm gonna give you that one. He said he drug them all out, them out.
Cassie, through tears, replied, "If I ever did, I'd never work again, and my mother would disappear." The judge slammed his gavel. The courtroom went into recess. Even members of Diddy's family reportedly left the room in tears. Cassie wasn't just telling her story, she was exposing a system of power, fear, and silence. The defense team tried everything they could. They said this was about consensual relationships. They brought up Cassie's past substance use. They questioned the accuracy of dates. They even accused her of exaggerating due to a past civil settlement and upcoming book deal. But according to reporters inside, the jury wasn't buying it. Several jurors maintained eye contact with Cassie the entire time. The emotional weight in the room was unmistakable.
So we're taking a little bit of a break. Cassie just testified for about an hour and a half. She walked in with a brown fitted dress on. She was clearly visibly pregnant. She began by talking about how frequently she was abused when asked by prosecutors. She said things like too frequently and said that she had knots on her head before, busted lips, swollen lip, bruises, that these things were normal for her. When asked about what is a freak off, she talked about it being an experience where Combs watched Ventura have sex with other men, and she said that she learned about this concept within the first year of their relationship. Why she went along with it. When asked that question, she said, I was 22. I felt a sense of responsibility. I was confused, nervous, wanted to make him happy. So this is only the first hour and a half of her testimony. We're taking a lunch break, but when we come back, I'm sure we'll get more into the details of their relationship. Remember though, this is a case about a criminal enterprise racketeering. So they're laying the foundation as to the relationship between Sean Combs and Cassie Ventura, Cassandra Ventura, but it's moving kind of slow right now, but we'll be providing another update when we get more information.
Ventura, under his...
As testimony spread online, celebrities and activists voiced support. Artist Kalani posted that she stands with Cassie. There were also unconfirmed online rumors about other celebrities who may be named or involved later, including associates who were allegedly present during some of these events. Meek Mill's name has surfaced in conversations, but as of now, there is no official evidence tying him to any wrongdoing. These claims remain unverified. Day 3 is expected to include more witness testimony, including a protected female witness and digital forensic experts who may confirm the existence of Diddy's alleged encrypted files. The judge closed the day by stating, "This court will not tolerate any attempt to silence victims inside this room or out." Cassie Ventura, long seen as just another celebrity partner, is now standing as a symbol, not only of courage, but of a broader reckoning within the entertainment industry. This trial is about more than one man. It's about the culture that protected him, and the voices who were buried to preserve that power.
I asked you about this upcoming Diddy trial that's coming up in a few days. I think it's coming up in about 4 or 5 days. How you feel about Cassie testifying against Diddy?
Yes, sir. First of all, it should be absolutely illegal for Cassie to testify against Diddy. When he paid her off, I believe there was an NDA involved in that situation. He was paying her off to shut up and go away. After all the money he paid her, after her signing an NDA, how can she then be brought back into court to testify against him? It reminds me of Bill Cosby. Some of those women who lied on Bill Cosby during his abuse cases had NDAs, and the court let them break the NDA. You never see this with a white man accused of the same. You never see this with a Caucasian accused of the same. His lawyers should do all that they can to fight against Cassie testifying. She wasn't sex trafficked. So why are you testifying in a sex trafficking case? He is not being charged with crimes against Cassie. He's being charged with crimes against others. Cassie was paid and dismissed. Why is she being brought back into court after taking that man's money and testifying against him? That right there is clearly an excessive and abusive use of the law. Absolutely wrong. I do not like it. As far as Puffy asking for his case to be delayed, I agree with that. Remember, one of his lawyers recused himself, okay, at least one of them. So he probably has
some new people on his legal team. They got to get reacclimated and get caught up with what's going on. And I saw nothing wrong with him asking for a 2-month delay. He's already in jail. Y'all didn't give him bail, which y'all also think is a violation of his constitutional rights. So he should have got the 8-week delay. But here we go again. Deion Sanders. We want him.
Impossible.
Why is it impossible?
Because I'm a black man.
You can be
I
scared.
have so many other things to be fearful of. A clown is not going to scare me.
Really?
Yes. I'm not afraid of clowns.
But I heard that you were.
What happens next could reshape the legacy of one of the most powerful figures in music history. The jury has seen the evidence, the world is watching, and Cassie is finally being heard. Do you think justice is coming? Is this the fall of an empire? Or just the beginning of something even bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit subscribe, because tomorrow's testimony might be even more explosive. We'll be here with full coverage every step of the way.
You need to take his counsel advice. Because if he think he's gonna get out of this from the federal government, he out his mind. They in the process of plea bargaining, trying to do a plea bargain session with him, and he not taking it. That's probably why one of the lawyers jumped off the case. Remember Benjamin Bradford, his first lawyer with the Cassie situation? He said, give her the 10 million and make this go away, brother. He ended up giving her 30 million. He's not taking the lawyer's advice. 9 times out of 10, they probably got him a good plea bargain. Yo, listen to me, we can give you 15 years. 10 or 15 years. You do that, you come out, you only have to do like 12, 13. Come off to a halfway house. You still can live some of your life out as a free man. He don't want to hear it. So it is what it is. The federal government do not want to go to court. 9 times out of 10, they want a plea bargain with you. You understand? You accept the plea, you accept the time, you go ahead, you save the government money, you save them time and effort and manpower. If you don't believe that that white guy was a plant, then something is wrong with you. He done sold them enough drugs, but they haven't hit him with that charge. They haven't did him with that charge yet, or that we know of. If you don't believe that they're gonna try to hit him with those guns in there, they saving all that for last. The drugs, the guns. They'll do another superseding indictment and add those two up if he don't take the plea. If he don't take the plea bargain to the trafficking or whatever, stuff like that, they're gonna say, okay, let's add the guns to it, and let's add.
How you feel about Keefe D? He out here crying to come home, man.
Keefe D, I think is a mistravesty of justice that Keefe D is still in jail without a bail, or they're not making his bail low enough for him to go home. For the fact of the matter is that Keefe D was told to say something by a LAPD officer who was writing a book, doing a movie, and making himself rich off of an event that happened in our culture. And that he's in jail because the cops said a lot of these things first.
I think you want somebody who wants to serve, someone eager to serve, because that suggests that person might be inclined toward a celebrity like Diddy. I would also, in this case, I would want men, not because men support abuse, but I could see this being very difficult for women jurors. I would want younger jurors as well. I don't know that older jurors would be good for him.
Do you care where they get their news? Do you care if they go on social media?
I wouldn't care so much about social media. Certainly, watching you on Law and Crime would be a real problem. But no, I wouldn't care too much. I mean, in fact, if they were reading the celebrity media, TMZ, Rolling Stone, that might be an encouraging thing for Diddy's counsel.
Now, Ben, according to the court today, they expect preemptory challenges on Friday. You have a lot of jurors who saw the Cassie tape. You have a lot of jurors who were exposed to this case or something that's been going on with Sean Combs, know who he is, maybe know a list of the celebrities or places that were potentially going to be brought up in this case. Difficulty of sitting 8 weeks on this jury, but they're going to be seeing and hearing a lot. Do you think that it's going to be tough to sit a fair and impartial jury in Sean Combs' criminal case?
Well, I think they will have a fair and impartial jury. I think the problem is going to come in, with the Cassandra Ventura's tape. I mean, whether you've seen that before, you're certainly going to see that during the trial. And I think that's highly problematic, obviously, for Diddy, whether they've seen it before or not.
Yeah, because the prosecution is saying she was not only running away from Combs, she was running away from a freak-off, that there was a sex worker in that hotel room. And that goes to the charge of sex trafficking and also racketeering, because sex trafficking is a part of that as well. Okay, so the trial's about to start. We know that Sean Combs early in the week said to the court, I'm feeling a little nervous today. Let's say openings begin day 1, May 12th, okay? What do you advise your celebrity client to do and not to do as this trial begins and progresses for 8 weeks?
I would remind him to remember that every second he is in the courtroom, at least one juror and probably more are going to be looking at him. So he should act as if he were testifying every second he's in the courtroom.
Talk about a whirlwind day, because when we started today, we didn't even have a jury yet.
Not at all. And a lot of things that you mentioned just about his mood changing, what he's wearing, those are things that we did expect today. But for it to go so fast, for a federal trial to finalize a jury, do the strike process, and there was a little contention about that. The defense argued that they struck 7 of 9 black jurors, so there was a bit of a disagreement about that. Moved on past that. And so then they got to opening statements, and then we got to the first 2 witnesses for the beginning of what's going to be a really explosive and explicit trial. The first day of the Sean Diddy Combs racketeering and sex trafficking trial in the bag. Combs today wearing the same look as last week. Slacks, a sweater over a white collared shirt in a different color. His mother and children seated in the second row behind him. The 55-year-old has a team of at least 8 defense attorneys, but he's very much engaged in his own defense, at times nodding his head towards his attorney in approval or disapproval. In opening statements, federal prosecutors describing a drug-fueled world of violence and abuse enabled by a trusted inner circle, who they say helped Combs keep his ex-girlfriend Cassie